All right, look happy. Hey, everybody, welcome to Holy Chat.
Holy chat.
I'm Levi Duga. I'm here with Carlos Ramirez. It is freezing cold, and our kids are never going back to school. So we are zooming our podcast today with children probably running in the background somewhere, and you may hear them. This is the 21st century, y'all. So here we are.
I know, I know. And I'm almost swear that I saw white walkers already passing by my house.
Uh, well, then
Winter is coming.
it's good that this new series we're starting now is on peace. Because
Yes,
never needed it more, especially if you're a parent right now. So we are starting a new series on peace. When Carlos brought this up to me, immediately this quote came to mind that I love from Lao Tzu, an ancient Asian philosopher who said, "If there's to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there's to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there's to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors." And if there's peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. And so you can see this idea that at the end of the day, if you want peace on a macro level, it goes all the way down to the micro level as far as how we can achieve that. So we thought we'd just work our way down from the top down to the individual with peace. So today, Carlos, we're going to start with what? What's our first topic of peace?
well, I thought that if you would allow me, and everybody who's listening and seeing us today will allow us. By the way, can you remind our good people where can they see these podcasts and hear it? Would you mind to say that to them?
You go to thedooриsopen.org, or you can go on our YouTube channel. Even if you just search Holy Chat in YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us and follow us. That way, you get updates when we post new episodes.
That's right. And we also are in SoundCloud and Spotify if you prefer just to listen to these two goons talking
Yeah,
about things.
just to listen and not look at us.
Yes, right. Enough of you people. I can barely just listen to you. So you can do that too. All right. So we thought if you, as I said, you allow me and the audience to start is with kind of going a little bit nerdy
Nerd alert!
in the sense of uh, going back a little bit in time to Roman times, right? So Jesus is uh, speaking to a crowd. There is a lot of people around. Uh, Matthew, one of the gospel writers, says that Jesus was on a little hill or in a little mountain. People say mountain, but it's just kind of a hill. You and I've been there, so it's a little hill more than a mountain. And
Yeah,
then he's talking to people,
it'd be great for
and he
sledding
said,
there.
say that again.
It's a perfect sledding hill if they
It
ever
is a
see.
sliding hill. It is. It is perfect, and it goes straight to the water.
No.
So anyway, and in there, as he's talking to people, he says, "Blessed or happy are those who are the peacemakers, because they will be called sons and daughters of God." It was pretty radical what Jesus was talking about. So let me just go, as I said, back into what was going on in the ancient time, and particularly in Jesus' time, and particularly in Roman time. So Rome also had this idea of peace, and it was ingrained in what the Roman Empire would do, and people and they will proclaim that they will bring in the peace or the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. But this peace, and maybe this is telling. So for them, they had a big temple to peace, dedicated to peace, and this temple was set on Mars camp. And Mars is the god of war. So for Romans, uh, they couldn't see other way but to achieve peace through violence, achieve peace through war, to subdue the other at any cost. They will come and diplomatically say, okay, you need to now be part of us. And if anybody say, well, I don't want to be part of you, then I said, okay, then they will come back with legions and destroy everything and call the other uncivilized or barbarian. and in the name of civilization, in the name of peace, they will conquer, and then they will put taxes, and then uh, that will be a conquered part of the empire. Um, and it is it is another way to see it. There's a lot of reliefs and a lot of imagery around it that when, for instance, with Claudius the emperor, it is said as as a god in the nude, because in the nude is kind of being a god. And also in distress, there is a woman laying down on him, and is about to strike with a sword. And it is a representation when Nero conquered Britannia, which is Britain. Well, now we know. Well, now um, uh, the Isles of England, Great Britain. And so, a scholar said that the representation is that the barbaric nature of that Britain is killed, um, and is arisen or revived as a mistress of the emperor. So anyway, all this to say is that the listeners of Jesus, when Jesus is saying peace, they have this idea of peace, of war, of conquering, of subduing the other, of reviving as the mistress of the power at being. But Jesus is saying, hold it, peace is not achieved through that. True peace is giving yourself away, is by being humble, by being meek, by um, uh, if somebody slaps you, kind of take it. If somebody takes your shirt, wrap your coat and give it to them. It is a completely opposite, or yeah, completely opposite, counterintuitive idea of peace, and that is a peace that is achieved through uh, being part of uh, this new reign, that it is the reign of God, right? The kingdom of God that Jesus was preaching about. So I think that today, translate that to today, kind of jumping 2,000 years now, I think that in many ways we have fall back again into that idea of peace, where peace is not achieved uh, by giving ourselves away, by giving the benefit of the doubt to the other, by um, reasoning with the other, but by pounding something, by winning arguments, by by force in many times, right? I mean, not only in wars, we've seen that around the world, but just as easy in social media when we post something and somebody respond to us, and well, we need to take them down, and we want to beat them, right? Meaning beating them not necessarily physically, but beat the argument, win in the argument, and there's a winner and there's a loser, and that's how we achieve peace today, right? Or that is how, maybe you don't see it that way, maybe we don't phrase it that way, but I think that it is definitely a way that we are acting as a society right now. So what, I mean, am I off? What do you think?
No, I mean, it's interesting as you talk. We are going to really nerd out here
Nerd alert!
because, I think a lot about geopolitics and the world that we live in today. I like to study that kind of stuff. And it just seems to me that so often that idea of peace through strength is, boy, I didn't realize it was an ancient idea going all the way back to the Roman Empire, but it's been something that we have insisted upon, especially since World War II. We formed the NATO alliance after World War II to have peace through strength, to be allied with each other against, at the time, what was the Soviet Union, to hold them at bay. What we're seeing today is that in some ways it maintained peace for a long time, but in some ways it was just delaying the inevitable, that eventually it would result in conflict. And that's probably because we didn't get down to the root issues, huh? The root issues about why we're disagreeing, why we are in conflict all the time. So instead, we just escalate, 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 escalate until eventually there's an explosion, something happens, and here we are. in Ukraine, right on the, on the edge of something horrible. And so, yeah, peace through strength sounds good, but Jesus seems to turn it on its head and say, look, at the end of the day, that's just going to cause more conflict, even if you have temporary peace. The Roman Empire was famous for if you were a Roman citizen, you could go anywhere and nobody was to touch you because if they did, oh, the whole of the empire was going to come down on your head. But is that really peace if if it's through violence? I mean, that's terrifying and ironic, as you said. I'd never thought about the fact that that idea of peace is an idea of winners and losers. That's no peace at all, really. That's just peace for certain people and not for others. And I'd never thought of it that way. So it's really a fascinating way to think about peace. So in our faith tradition, we talk about peace, and really what we're saying is the ancient Hebrew word shalom, which is more than the absence of conflict, isn't it, Carlos?
Right. Yes. And shalom, I mean, uh, I think as you said, we can nerd out and we don't want to go into the whole semantics and the whole thing, but it does, it's important, I guess, to say something on the lines of this. And you can tell me, I mean, help me out here. So shalom is about not only a physical or personal well-being, right? It's not only a personal, but it's also a communal well-being that where everybody that it is in the community, it is tended for and cared for. And it is not also just a piece type thing, a superficial one, but it is, I like the word well-being. I think that's what it is. It's a holistic, mental, physical, spiritual, everything that may uh, harms us or be on us, upon anything harmful be upon us, that it is not. So therefore, peace be with you, that blessings be upon you, that the best of life be upon you, your well-being be upon you. That
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so it's not just the absence of conflict, but like the presence of goodness, the presence of well-being and wholeness and joy and that's different than just not having war in the world. As you said, like the Roman Empire could maybe end wars, but at the end of the day, they did it on the backs of slaves and marginalized people and class systems and all kinds of oppression and brokenness. And so it definitely is important that when we're talking about peace, our goal is much higher, maybe, than the goal of world leaders today, which is just not to blow each other up.
right. It yes, it is, it is truly the well-being of everybody. And that is, I mean, if you then tied up, I mean, just, as Jesus is saying, blessed are the ones who are peacemakers. And if you understand peacemakers, the shalom makers, or the ones who are well-being makers, then that makes sense when Jesus said something on the lines of, if people hurt you, or the people, in that case, slaps you, kind of don't pay him back. And it is not a sign of weakness. And I think that's the other thing. I think that we are dealing with this very uh, misunderstood idea of strength.
You reminded me of where Jesus talks in another gospel about his peace that he leaves with his disciples, his followers. Says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, the kind of peace we're talking about transcends circumstances. So, yeah, the world is a messy, broken place, and there's going to be war, there's going to be conflict. But even if you're not a Christian, if you're just a kind of spiritual person and you're just listening because you think it's interesting and you want to learn a little bit more, it matters that you have this kind of peace that surpasses circumstances if you want to really enjoy your life. And I think that that requires some things that we're going to talk about in future weeks, like a spiritual life, to help you achieve that peace. But if more people had that peace, then you'd see more of it in your community, your state, your nation, and the world. So really, that's kind of where I think our motivation comes from as followers of Christ is despite what you see on TV most of the time, most of us Christians really want to bring peace to the world. It's just that the loudest folks usually get hurt the most, unfortunately. But Carlos, we got to wrap up soon for today. So, what are your last thoughts as we think about Pax Romana and peace through strength and what it means to have peace in the world?
Right. So I think that the if nothing else, just remember, uh, Jesus is talking about a different type of peace, a peace that it is not based upon winners or losers, that it is not upon as you strength, war, violence, um, and it is through giving ourselves away, and by giving ourselves away, we bring peace, well-being, this holistic well-being to everything that we are influencing around us. And therefore, we bring just that tiny little more, that idea of the kingdom of God. I think that should wrap it up.
Good stuff. Thanks, Carlos. So,
That was easy.
I don't have
That
my.
was easy.
Until next time, come back and see us. We're going to talk more about peace next week. We love y'all.